welcome to Sports Betting Illuminated, where we play with the house and not against it. I'm your host, Ariel Miller, author of Sports Betting Illuminated, an AI-powered path to profit. My book, which highlights exactly how I've been able to attain these huge ROIs season after season in the 30, 40, even 50% range, season after season across multiple sports leagues. Hello, Brian. Good morning and welcome to my stream. Hello, Chuck Science. Welcome in. It is so lovely seeing you guys here today, coming in through Rumble. Hey, Ken Leo. Good morning. I feel like we are going to have a great day where we win a lot of wagers. What about you? Let's start this weekend off right. Right, guys? I'm excited for that. So, all of these plays of the day have been doing really well. And before we get started, I really would like to let everyone know that you could get all of my early plays of the day, my line analysis on all of the games, some sports news, insights on becoming generally just a better, improved, better, so that you're making more successful wagers, really using a strategy that works in exploring biases in a coaching corner and other things like statistics and probabilities and little things that could enhance your overall experience at the sports books and increase your profits. Plus a little bit of health information as well, because staying healthy and focused and really locked in while you're making these wagers with the best strategic ability that you have is so important as well. You could get this daily newsletter all for free every single day over at arielcalista.com just by clicking on the button that says stay in touch. It is that easy. So I hope you join me there. And thanks for joining me here right now, live on Sports Betting Illuminated. Now, I always like to say, I like to sit back, relax, and get my mind right to win some wagers. So I'm going to start with that today. And really, this is an interesting strain. This is called Metamorphosis OG. So this is really delivering like a nice balanced high. It kind of mirrors like the cycles of change and metamorphosis. And, as I look outside, I'm thinking about the changing of the seasons and spring coming right around the corner. And ultimately, this canvas is very uplifting and gives you some, kind of concentrated energy and, feeling like tapping into that creative side of yourself. That's what I really like about this stream, but then you're going to really settle into like a grounded, relaxed calm. And I think this is like really nice because as spring is coming around, we want to embrace growth and change and, improvement in our lives. That was a good one. I am sitting back, relaxing, and getting my mind right to win some wagers today. I feel like some good things are coming our way. It was a little bit of a strong hit. I also wanted to just say real quick, thank you so much everyone for starting your weekend off with me. This is really exciting. Let's start on a high note. Literally. That really does give such a nice balanced high. It's tasty too, so I like it. Very citrusy. All right, now my mind's right. That's for sure. So as you know, with the Sports Betting Illuminated live show, I've been doing a 3x3 format, so giving you ultimately 6 plays. But I've realized this format does not always work, and it also has caused me to highlight games that sometimes I would ordinarily just pass. And I'm very serious about our wagers here, and I'm not just going to throw at you games just because it's something to talk about, you know, and that's really where I feel like this podcast stands out from other sports podcasts, is that we're doing a thorough analysis and we're finding the winners. And that's what's important for me. I don't want to, you know, you work hard for your money, and, you know, I want to make sure that you're winning and you're really building a good ROI instead of a negative ROI. So, you know, I'm going to be changing up this format a little bit so that I really am delivering you the highest quality winners all the time. And honestly, courtesy to this metamorphosis OG strain, I am going to take a different route, a different tactic. And I think that's going to be a lot of fun. What I'm focusing on right now is really the 3 F's. So that is fun, fluency, and finances. So it's a metamorphosis compared to what we've been doing with the 3x3. But really, we're going to have fun, you know, winning some wagers here, focusing on finances, building our bankroll over time, you know, having winning wagers and locking those in, and, you know, growing our bankroll. That's very important, winning. And finally, fluency, like really understanding my strategy while I'm live on air, like really talking this through with you guys. So when you're sitting at home looking at a game, you could say, oh, well, how would Ari break this down and analyze it? And I'm going to apply that strategy to what I'm looking at over here. And truthfully, I think this is going to work. I think, you know, no matter what betting level you're at, you know, this is really going to be an important shift in the show. And of course, we're always here to have fun. So I can't wait to do that with all of you and really just bring in the fun, you know, have good times. And I love doing that with you guys. Right. So let's dive into some winning wagers. I know that's what you're waiting for. So as a reward for everyone who came in early, it's a little slow this morning. It's okay. It's Saturday. Everyone, I'm sure, was partying last night, but I want to start off with my best bet of the day. And that is the Pacers. This move from -5.5, where it opened up at, to -8. And there was a little bit of Pacers money mixed in here. By the way, guys, this game does start at 5 p.m. Eastern, so we have some time until the game starts. But I would say, with how this line is looking at right now, from -5.5 to -8, unless this line falls apart, I would say this is definitely a play. And when I say it falls apart, I mean, if it's in a few hours from now moves to Pacers -7 or something. Sometimes these lines could get a little shaky around game time, but an hour till game time or half an hour, and that's not as big of a concern when, you know, Vegas is really trying to balance everything to maximize their profits. But, you know, there are still a few hours, so, you know, if you check in around 2, 3 o'clock, and it's still sitting at -8, if it's even gone even further to -8.5, -9, I would definitely take the Pacers here. But I like it right now at -8 and how it's sitting. And that was a big early move from -5.5 to -8. So yeah, let's keep an eye on this. I don't think this line's going to fall apart, but definitely keep your eyes on this. And another play I was looking at in this game was over as well. I noticed how this opened up at 236.5. Then it went up to 239.5 on some over money. So, you know, this was interesting. Like, this moved with the money over, but this moved a little bit more than like just the money pushing this line. So Vegas is pushing this line up a little more than I would have expected them to move, with just, you know, there's not really even level 1 significant money on there right now. Just, you know, some steady mixed over money. So that's how I would define it right now at this very moment. But yeah, I would keep your eye on the total. But you know, I like Pacers -8. That is my best bet right now at this moment. But keep your eye on this total. It's sitting at 239.5 and it moves to 240. It could easily within a half hour or so move to 240. If it moves to 240, take it. Like, the line is continuously moving up, as we've already seen, from 236.5 where it opens. So that's what I mean when this line is going in the right direction. If it keeps moving up, 240, 240.5, take it. This was already a big early move. So I like it. I like this a lot. And I have a best bet in college as well that I'm excited to share with you. I am looking at Denver versus Omaha at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern tonight. Denver moved from +13.5 to +10.5 on really no money to report at the moment. I will be updating my numbers, but I just haven't seen any significant money push this Denver spread like this. So if it keeps going in this direction, if it moves to +9, +8, absolutely take this. And I still like it right now, moving from +13 to +10. That was a big Vegas adjustment. But you know, if it does move to +11, +11.5, you know, I might veer away from this, especially if it's not moving right before game time, but like during the day when things are a little bit more steady. So keep your eye on this, but right now I really like Denver sitting at +10.5. So we're gonna wait and see if some money starts coming in. But right now, those are the plays that I like, and we are going to roll into the 2-minute drill. This is a really fun one, so I hope you enjoy it. Of course, if you have any comments, questions as you're watching it, feel free to throw them in the chat. I won't miss them. And of course, this is a live show, so if you have any games you'd like me to break down and analyze live on air, feel free to throw them in as well. All right, let's get started. Super Bowl betting is the biggest event of the year, generating billions of dollars in wagers across traditional bets and the ever-growing catalog of prop bets. While the game itself remains the main attraction, the way that people have bet on the Super Bowl has evolved significantly. The Super Bowl isn't just a football game, it's a sports betting spectacle where the handle is split between serious wagers and bets placed purely for entertainment. In total, the 2023 Super Bowl generated over $16 billion in wagers in the United States alone, according to the American Gaming Association. The majority of these bets were placed on the spread, the money line, and the total, but prop bets accounted for more than 50% of the total handle at some of the sports books. At places like the Westgate Superbook in Las Vegas, prop betting now surpasses traditional game wagers, with some books offering over 1,000 different options. This year's game opened with Kansas City as a 1-point favorite and -125 on the money line. Philadelphia Eagles opened at +1, the underdog, and +105 on the money line. The total, 49. 3 days into betting, Kansas City shifted to -1.5, while Philadelphia's money line sits at +110. The total has edged up to 49.5, pushed by strong public support for the over. If you like the Eagles, the best play right now is the money line at +110 rather than taking +1.5 at -110. With no possibility of a tie, getting plus money for a straight win makes slightly more sense mathematically here than laying the juice on a narrow margin. This game is well balanced, with no books offering clear value, exactly what you'd expect in a highly scrutinized market. While traditional bets stay sharp, props are where the sportsbooks are printing money. Popular bets on props include the coin toss, player performance props, the color of Gatorade shower, a halftime show outcomes, and the coin toss alone brings in millions of dollars despite being a completely random 50-50 bet with a house edge built into the juice. Props on quarterbacks and wide receivers also receive heavy action, with inflated vig ensuring the books always win in the long term. For professional bettors, the Super Bowl is one of the toughest markets to beat because the lines are so sharp. While the public chases props and parlays, value is more likely found in less hype markets like college basketball on the same day. And the bottom line here, the Super Bowl is fun, but serious betting opportunities lie elsewhere. I hope you guys enjoyed that 2-minute drill. Of course, if you have any questions about it, feel free to throw it in the chat. And like I said, Super Bowl, there are going to be so many bets available. Just make sure that, you're only spending money that you can afford to lose when making some of these riskier bets. And truthfully, for professional bettors, a lot of us really do stay away from the Super Bowl because, everything is just so tight, and Vegas does not like to move the lines. They really like to balance the money during a Super Bowl and take a piece from each side. So that's what they're doing. And, sometimes there's just sharper plays found elsewhere. But also be responsible with your bets. Only bet what you can afford. I might be doing a few props. I'll be looking into that. I'm not a huge fan of props all the time because of the huge house edge. And simply put, they really have an enormous house edge built into all of these props. And that's why they offer so many of them and why all of the sports books make such a profit off of them. Because they have a huge house edge, and truthfully, gamblers just aren't as well equipped to look at all of the data and crunch it as their machines are. The machines that they're using, the computer systems, the literally hundreds of people that they're hiring to build this and analyze the data, and literally they're pulling data off of the players' jerseys like multiple times a second, like hundreds of times a second. So, truthfully, they always have an edge. And when it comes to props, they have an extraordinary edge compared to the average gambler. But I will look at a few props for the Super Bowl, see if my AI model pops out a few that I really like. I really am just trusting the machine here at this point and using that to find the props that I like, because machine learning AI, it does give you the same sort of tool sets that the sports books are using, because those are the tool sets that they use to crunch the numbers. So I'll find a few. That will be fun to do. But in general, I pretty much stay away from props. Now, let's look at another play that I really like today. This is going to be really interesting. Suns versus the Trailblazers. This is at 10 o'clock p.m. tonight Eastern, by the way. And I like two plays in this game. I think they're both developing pretty strong right now, but still keep your eye on this. And make sure, because this is a late game tonight, anything could happen until then. So keep your eye on this line. Make sure it's not jumping around, moving around too much. But the direction that the Suns spread is going right now, I like it. It opened up at -2.5, went out to -4. Level 1 money came in on the Suns spread, and personally, I could see it moving up to -4.5 very soon, even -5. But if it moves back to -3, I would just drop it. I wouldn't take it, but I like how it moved from -2.5 to -4 right now. I could see it moving out even further. I'm not gonna ladder this one out quite yet, but I do like how it's moving. There's plenty of time until game time. So watch this line. Make sure that it doesn't fall apart. And then this will be a great play. And it does look like the money is very steady right now. Level 1 money. So the pros are starting to come in on this, but so are a lot of the public. The public is coming in on the Suns, and they're also coming in on the over as well. There's level 4 money on over. That's quite a lot. We haven't really seen a ton of huge significant money today, so seeing this coming in on the total this early on is really interesting, and seeing how they moved it as well from 225.5, that's where it opens. They did move it to 228.5, and all the sports books. That's where you could get it right now. Hey David, welcome in. So nice seeing you this morning. Thanks for joining the live stream. So yeah, right now I like the Suns sitting at -4. Keep your eye on this. Make sure it doesn't move back to -3 or something, but I like it sitting at -4, and I could see this potentially moving out even more. And I really like this total. It's sitting at 228.5 right now with level 4 money. So keep your eye on this. Make sure this doesn't fall apart as well. But I like the over here. I think, you know, this over is getting moved in the same direction as the money. Vegas and the money are moving in the same direction here towards the over in this game. So this is developing pretty nicely. And next, I'm also looking at the Magic versus Jazz. This game is earlier at 5 p.m. Eastern, but I'm looking at the over here as well. Not quite as much money as the last over, but this one has level 3 money on it. And this moved from 214.5 to 217.5 on level 3 money. So a pretty big move, and a lot of money supporting this as well. So both of these overs are looking strong, and I would say keep your eyes on this, but this one I could see continuing to move as well. Just make sure it doesn't move back, and you know, pay attention to these lines as they're moving throughout the day. But yeah, so far I'm loving these overs. Let's go. And the Suns spread. And now I just wanted to dive into a short little cannabis talk about how cannabis is really impacting the world of athletics. More than a third of NHL players surveyed by the New York Times said that they consume edible cannabis products during the season. This is like during the season, as they're playing games, they're consuming edible cannabis products. And you know, as we know, in Canada, marijuana is legal throughout all of Canada right now. So I mean, considering we have a few NHL teams in Canada, I mean, I think this really makes sense. And honestly, a majority of the states are starting to legalize cannabis. And even in states that haven't legalized recreational cannabis, people are still consuming the same cannabinoids that they would get in a dispensary by using hemp products, which are completely widely available under the 2018 Farm Bill, getting things like Delta 8, Delta 9 THC, Delta 9 THC, the same thing you would find at a dispensary. So I think this is really cool that they don't have the same regulations and restrictions and fines and punishments that a lot of these other sports leagues have. And really, it shows a cultural shift. I was reading about some of these hockey players who were told by the older generation of hockey players, like, you can't be a hockey player unless you could come into a game and play while you're hungover and stuff. And a lot of the younger generation now is realizing that's not that's not the way I want to play. I don't want to play hungover and feeling crappy and messed up. Like, I would rather relax and play video games instead of go out and party and drink and feel like crap the next day. I'd rather enjoy some cannabis, take some edibles, and feel good. Because ultimately, marijuana is not, as we know, as we've seen in multiple studies, it's not a performance-enhancing drug, but it does do great things when it comes to pain relief. And every time I see hockey on TV, it just looks so, like, intense. I can't even imagine playing hockey and these guys getting, like, bashed into the windows, and I mean, it is wild. Like, I can't imagine myself doing that personally, but I mean, I can imagine that you do get quite a few injuries pretty frequently, I would assume, even under all of that gear and protective outerwear that you wear. I'm sure cannabis is doing a lot to alleviate some of the pain of the injuries and just improves the recovery time so that you're not feeling injured for so many days. That it's not enhancing your performance out on a game, but it is enhancing your recovery period so you could get back out there and play. So this is really interesting that they're actually preferring cannabis over alcohol in the NHL. I think this is really significant because this is probably how all of the other leagues are going to move in a very short time. You know, it starts with one and then it kind of trickles down, and that's how I see things going, at least personally. But you know, who am I to say what's going to happen in the future? Just making a prediction here. But then also what was interesting is an NFL player survey was conducted by ESPN in 2016. So this was quite a few years ago, back in 2016. I know it's crazy that this was like almost a decade ago. Like, it doesn't even feel like that, right? But 22% of players back almost a decade ago said that they've known a teammate who used marijuana before a game. And you know, in this, I think surveys like this are very interesting because as we've seen, like in recent election polls and stuff, like asking them if they know somebody, like, you know, what are your teammates doing is very like indicative of, like, you know, if they're using marijuana or what percentage of the team is actually using marijuana, even if they don't want to, like, upfront, you know, admit on a survey that they're doing it. So back in 2016, almost a decade ago, 22%. I'm sure that number has increased. I don't know how much it has increased personally, but this was almost a decade ago, and I really believe the stigma has gone away. So that's all I have today. And when it comes to cannabis and athletics, I love seeing how things are really evolving in the fields. And now I want to bring you a few leans that I have in college. I know we want to dive into this today because there are so many college games going on. Now, let's first dive into Northern Kentucky versus Oakland. This game is at 4:00 p.m. Eastern. This is, like I said, a lean. I am watching to see, you know, how the money moves, if any of these lines shift. So keep your eye on this very close because these lines might shift. So Oakland went from -5.5 to -7.5. Really not a lot of significant money or much money movement at all. So keep your eye on this, but I like how it's going. Then I'm looking at CSU Bakersfield versus CSU Northridge. This game is at 8:00 p.m. and this was another pretty big shift as well, another 2-point shift like we just saw, where Northridge went from -7.5 to -9.5. And like I said, this really wasn't on a lot of money, so keep your eye on this. Things could happen throughout the day, but this was a big move. Just sportsbooks doing this on their own. And finally, at 8 p.m. Eastern, I am looking at Utah Valley Wolverines versus the Grand Canyon Antelopes. This Grand Canyon spread moved from -7.5 to -9.5. So similar to the Northridge spread, another 2-point shift. Really no significant money to report on here at this moment, but anything could change. So keep your eye on these lines because these are leans at this moment. All of these college plays are leans. I don't feel quite as strongly about them as I do my other plays, but if they stay steady, go ahead and bet them. I like to see these lines stay steady throughout the day or even continuing to move in the right direction. So these lines that are sitting at -9.5, if they move to -10, that's great, they're moving in the right direction. But if they pull back a little bit, move back to -8, from -9.5, I would probably stay away at that point. I don't really like that. So keep your eye on this, but so far so good. Everything's moving in the right direction and looks like just really a Vegas move here. And those are all of my plays that I have for you today. Let me just review all of them at the end, and of course, if you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. Alright, so starting off with my best bet of the day, it's the Pacers sitting at -8. Then I really liked in college, Denver sitting at +10.5. As always, make sure that these lines keep moving in the right direction. The Suns are playing the Trailblazers, and I took the Suns spread sitting at -4, and I also like the over here as well, sitting at 228.5. Then I like the over in the Orlando Magic Utah Jazz game as well, sitting at 217.5. I think that might even continue going upwards. And if it does, absolutely grab it. And as for my leans in college, I am taking Oakland -7.5, Northridge -9.5, and finally Grand Canyon at -9.5 as well. Those are all of my plays for today. Of course, I will be back on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern with even more plays, some props, some little bit of everything. And I love seeing all of you here today. Thank you for starting your weekend off with some winners with me on Sports Betting Illuminated live stream. Sign up for my free daily emails over at arielcalista.com by clicking on the button that says Stay in Touch. It's free, it's easy, go out every day, you get my pics of the day, you got pictures of me every day. What's there not to like about these free daily emails? And also, while you're here watching this video, getting all of these winners, please subscribe and leave a thumbs up. It is free. And it would help me so much improve an algorithm. Thank you everyone for showing up. Thanks for all of the love, everyone. And I will see you, I hope to see you all on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern for my next live stream. That is a great book, one of my favorites. All right, bye everyone. Good luck today, and let's win some wagers.